Well, we seem to be broadcasting successfully. So,
Excellent.
hello everyone, and welcome to another thrilling episode of that album. A very much, yeah. That is
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah. You got us right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, 1979.
1979.
One
How
step
old were
beyond.
you? How old were you, Adam?
I would have been 13.
Yeah, 70. Yeah, so I was coming up 13. When
Yeah,
is
rising 13.
coming up 13? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it? Because people say school days are the best days of your life. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm hello there. I'm I'm incredibly lucky with my home life, and so blessed to have the family and everything I've got. People say school days best days of your life, and actually they were pretty damn good for me.
Yeah, yeah, mine too.
I had a whale of a time, and it was a really good time to be young. I mean, my daughter, who's 24, she appreciates that everything is shit now compared to what it was back when we were young, and that we've had the best.
So much better when we were younger.
Yeah, it and it isn't just. But and here's bless. Bless him. Oh yeah. Well, we'd like to think so. We'd like to think we are indeed. We're still young pups. So I do a little bit of background on the year. So the Winter of Discontent, the IRA in full swing. Mountbatten was blown up. Erenieve was blown up. Ambassador to the Netherlands was blown up. Eddie Kidd was jumping everything that Eddie Kidd was jumping. The Yorkshire Ripper was in full swing. Blair Peach was killed protesting an anti-Nazi.
Good times. Everything was so much better.
Yeah, the Jubilee line opened. Elton John became the first musician from the West to perform in the Soviet Union, and Seb Coe set a new world record. Films: Apocalypse Now, Time After Time, Caligula, Scum, The Black Hole, which was great, Driller Killer, which was not so great, 10, that I snuck in and saw in the cinema.
Yeah.
The Life of Brian.
Out of those, Adam, Scum is still up there. One of the most brutal films I've ever seen. It's one of my favourites, but it's not an easy watch.
It's
very young Ray Winston.
Escape from Alcatraz and Mad Max. Albums: Off the Wall, London Calling, We Are Family, The Wall, The Specials, Drums and Wires, Black Rose, A Rock Legend, all of which we've done on the show. But the thing that struck it home to, because albums, unless you bought the album, you weren't particularly aware of the albums. Check out the singles that came out that year, all of which you can sing all the words to.
Yeah.
Bright Eyes.
I'm not going to sing it, especially not going to sing that one.
Heart of Glass. We Don't Talk Anymore, Cliff Richard, one of three good songs that he did. I Don't Like Mondays. When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, Message in a Bottle, Walking on the Moon, Video Killed the Radio Star, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, One Day at a Time, Pop Music.
I think I've still got cassette tapes somewhere with those songs on from having recorded them off the radio.
Sunday Girl, and best of all,
excellent,
mate. It was.
I tell you what, there's a big box of 7-inch singles just sat down behind me, and I've got a lot of those in there.
I bet you have. I mean, it is. It was a remarkable time. So. And the thing that I think is so amazing about the music there is that you would have heard Heart of Glass, which is kind of punk-ish. We Don't Talk Anymore, which is your parents' kind of pop music. Bright Eyes, which is the theme song from a children's film.
A horrific children's film.
Yeah. I Don't Like Mondays. When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, a bit of kind of smoochy stuff. Message in a Bottle, Video Killed the Radio Star, the gay YMCA bunch, and electronica. All of this great music across all of these different genres, which now, whatever it is, 45 years on, you can still sing all of these songs. I mean, it's remarkable, isn't it?
You can still sing them. And interestingly, I'm going to give a plug to a podcast I've been listening to, actually, because the latest episode of that podcast from Chris and Lily Perkins. It's called the Gen X Gen Z Exchange, and the latest episode of that is all about music, and it's all about the fact that you can sing along to all those songs that are so old, and about the different parts of your brain that are being used when you're remembering song lyrics. And it's really interesting because the whole premise of the podcast that they do is obviously Gen X, Gen Z, and how the different generations approach things differently. But this episode about music is well worth listening to.
Okay, well, maybe you can share the
we'll do
the link, because it is fascinating. And the winters were cold and the summers were long, and a pound.
Take those rose-tinted specs off, Adam.
Yeah, no, but it's true. Everyone in the audience knows it's true. It was a very different time, and a very sweet, naive time, evidenced by, as we will come on to, the lyrics of one of the songs later in the album, which, listening to it again, it's like, Jesus Christ. It's like the other day I was on Instagram, scrolling through, as is my wont, take hours and hours and hours lying in the bath, going wrinkly, going through Instagram. And it said lyrics that didn't age well. And they pulled up Brown Sugar by the Stones.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy Moses, when you read the lyrics, it's like you just wouldn't dare to record a song like that.
If it's the song I think you're referring to, is it about Nice Man George?
No, it is. It is the one that has, bear with me, caller, two lines in Mummy's Boy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to it when we get there. But it's like, I mean,
yes, I know exactly the line you're referring to now. Yeah,
well, two lines as well.
Yeah. But there's one that's like, hang on.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a very different time, and I was talking to, I think, my kids over Christmas about this, saying that when I was at school, I would go into the pub in the village where the school was in school uniform and buy a pint after school sometimes, and nobody cared. They cared if you got drunk. They didn't care if you went in and had a swift one on the way home. It was a very. So
just following on from that, we used to drink in the same pub as our teachers from school, and it was the unwritten rule was that we were in the lounge bar, they were in the public bar. And if you bumped into a teacher on your way to the toilets or whatever, you get a little quiet nod. Nothing was said.
Yeah,
but different times.
Yeah. So why this album particularly?
So this album, right? So I'd been listening to a lot of Madness. Madness was one of the first bands that I really got into. I've been listening to a lot of Madness recently because they've recently brought out a new best of, which covers the whole of their career. So from 1979 to the albums they're releasing now, which are I wouldn't say they're all fantastic. Some of the later ones I've got into more recently, and they take a little bit more listening. They're not quite as poppy, but they lyrically, etc., really good. But bottom line is Madness Specials, the beat, the selector, that two-tone movement that was 1978, 79, 80. That was the first real time that music had made me sit up and go, hang on a minute, I like this. They seem like they're having fun. They're part of a cool gang, and I want to be part of that. And I went into it, lock, stock, and barrel, because I had the Fred Perrys, I had all the badges, I had the Harrington jackets, the rolled up Levi's, the DMs, all of that. Did
you remember when Dickie Dirts came to the UK, and it's the first place you could buy like a warehouse full of jeans, and and
the stay press trousers, all that sort of stuff. I used to be down the market all the time. The flight jacket covered in badges, and I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. Plus, and I suppose I didn't think about it as much back then, but certainly now, the message that two-tone movement was all about inclusivity, was so important, and it's still so relevant now. And that's why I bang on about bands like Idols, like I do, like I have done, because of their inclusivity and their wanting things to be about the right thing. And that's
there's another young up and coming band that are very much the same. I can't remember that.
Skunkworm.
Yeah, I hear they're brilliant.
They were brilliant. They played last night in Camden at the Elephant. Yeah, I mean, I was living the dream last night. I mean, you know this from the post earlier on, Adam, but I was living the dream last night, being up in the green room with all the bands and being part of the film crew for a documentary that they were filmed for. So I was, I was a lot younger in my head last night than I actually am.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the thing, wasn't it? It was being young. It felt that we were the right age at the right time in the right place.
So you talked about all those different genres earlier on, the different singles. I think, at the risk of sounding old, I think that the definition of those genres and the tribes that people belong to. Then you had your two-tone tribe, you had your punk tribe, you had your goth tribe, and you could tell just by looking at someone walking down the street what music they were into.
Mm.
And I don't know, I don't know that that's as prevalent now mainstream wise, but this was in the charts. This was madness up against the Stray Cats with all the rockabilly stuff, up against the the new Romantics. There were all those different tribes represented in the charts.
Yeah.
But it was, we all access music very differently back then as well. I mean, if I tell you that I asked for this album for Christmas, Christmas 9, so this came out in 79. It's a Christmas 79. I asked.
Yes, we did, Andrew.
Yeah. No, definitely. So whatever Christmas it was, I'd asked for this album for Christmas, and my mum and dad didn't buy me this album. They bought me Absolutely, which is the new, as it was, the new Madness album that I didn't even know was out because I was 13 years old. It wasn't like having the internet. I didn't know what was coming out. But they gave me this album, which was a Madness album, but not one I'd seen before. And I was like, yeah, thanks. It's not what I wanted. Another bloody brilliant album, right? But luckily I got a record token that Christmas as well. So I went to WH Smith's and I bought One Step Beyond.
Excellent. Well, right. So, as I said before we went live, I hate Madness. I've always hated Madness. I hate Madness and all of the associated bands because these were exactly the people that I found most distasteful when I was at school. So when you said, "Oh, let's do Madness," I thought, "Oh, Jesus, this is all I want." But in fairness, whilst I have found it perhaps musically dubious, I have been transported back to that world that we were talking about.
And it is interesting, right? So you say musically dubious. I was listening, and I said just before we went live, I was going to go with Absolutely, as the album because lyrically, musically, it's a much more mature album, even though there was only about a year between them. But this album, this is the album that got me into this band, and this is an album made by. Well, I don't know how old they were, but they wouldn't have been around the same sort of age as Harry, my son, who's in Skunkworm, right? They were making this sort of music and releasing it and having mad hits with it in their early 20s. And they were naive and they weren't brilliant musicians and they weren't brilliant songwriters, but there are some absolute gems of songwriting on there, and you can really see their influences the band had from the likes of Ian Dury, Kilburn and the High Roads, the Kinks, all of that very English music that they would have been listening to. You can definitely see the influences.
And I think the other thing is that these were an irreverent bunch of guys. They were rebellious to the cultural norms and the music industry.
They were, to use a northern term, they were a bunch of scallies, right? But they were a group of mates that all met up, and they were going out doing all the stuff that was a little bit naughty. But they were doing it together. They were a gang, and then they started playing music. And I mean, they did get in trouble because one of the songs we're going to listen to is about the time that the saxophonist spent in Borstal.
Yeah, well, interestingly, and I think I can safely say this, and so they used to play fairly regular. So obviously, got to the mid-'80s, things went really quiet for Madness. No one was really interested in them. And then before they had their big resurgence, a mate of mine was in Highbury Fields in Islington, and there was like a live gig during the summer.
Yeah,
we called it, but a live gig. So he's sitting up at the back of the stand, and this bloke comes and sits down next to him with a long coat, and it's Suggs.
All right, okay.
And Suggs turns to him and says, "I haven't got any money. Can you buy me a pint?" And this guy's like, "Yeah, okay. What do you fancy?" And he goes, "Oh, just a pint of lager, please." So he comes back and says, "Here you go." And Suggs says, "Oh, thanks. I haven't got any money, but I've got this." And he had a huge bag of Coke in his pocket. So, "Do you want some of this?" And it's like, okay, it was, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that complete lack of social etiquette, and it's just like, this is who I am, this is how I want to behave, I'm going to do my thing. And that challenge obviously is a hangover from the punk era, isn't it? And although they're not punk in many ways, this kind of rebellious nature and
definitely some of the attitude through. I mean, and Suggs, if you read into Suggs's background, Suggs has spent a lot of time in bars, in pubs, in music venues, because his mum was a singer. So he was dragged along to wherever she was singing that night, because there was no one at home to look after him. So that was his upbringing. He was just in that environment from a very young age. Not quite as bad as the likes of Shane MacGowan. He was at his first pint at 7 years old or whatever it was, because he was playing the piano in a pub and being rewarded with beer and cigarettes at 7 years old. I mean, that's another fantastic story.
Again, it's not something that would happen these days.
No.
He'd be straight into social care, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas in those days, it's just like, oh, well, it's just the way they choose to live their life. Yeah. So this arrived, my notes say, the arrival of One Step Beyond in October 79 represented more than a mere release of a debut studio album. It signalled a cultural pivot in the United Kingdom, marking the transition from the abrasive nihilism of punk to the inclusive rhythm-centric populism of the two-tone era. Emerging from working-class enclaves of North London madness, a group that evolved from the semi-chaotic North London invaders delivered a 15-track manifesto that synthesised Jamaican and ska traditions, British music hall vaudeville, and gritty observational lyricism. And that sums up perfectly this kind of, I don't know, it's the chaos of it, isn't it? I mean, chaotic.
And that comparison to the old time music halls, if you listen to a lot of their later albums, which are more concept albums, something like The Liberty of Norton Folgate is a concept album, but it's about London. It's about the different areas of London, and it is very musical. It's very if you're not a Londoner, you might not get it so much, but it's they like singing about what they know, and that's North London, right?
Yeah, well, the professionalisation, and in quotes, of madness occurred largely within the walls of the Dublin Castle, an Irish pub on Parkway in Camden Town, and that's it. They're very much of that area, and that kind of
and having been in Camden last night, I mean, Camden is still like that. It's very touristy now, parts of it, but there are still little pockets of what Camden always was. And where we were last night with Skunkworm and the other bands that played in the Elephant's Head, that was very much like that. It's a proper pub with a little stage, more a step than a stage, just set up and three bands playing last night, and it was free entry. Come in, have a drink. It should have been free entry. Actually, £7.70 for a pint.
Crikey,
£7.70.
But the whole Camden thing, I and I might have said this on the show previously, I experienced my worst ever concert in Camden at the Roundhouse. Absolutely shocking. It was Graham Coxon, and I'm a big Blur fan, so I was disappointed. And I rocked up, and frankly, the guy that I went with, it was part of the Apple Music Festival some years ago. The guy that I went with, we got to half time, we just thought, sod this, and went home. Yeah, because it was just so awful.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, Adam, I'm looking at the time. It's 20 past 4. We haven't listened to any music yet.
Right. Should we kick off?
I think we probably should. Yeah. I mean, we could sit here and talk all day, but might not be that interesting for those people listening.
Sodom. So here we go. Track 1.
Hey, you! Don't watch that. Watch this. This is the heavy monster sound. The nuttiest sound around. So if you're coming off the street and you're beginning to feel the heat, well, listen, Buster, you better start to move your feet to the rockinest, rock-steady beat of madness. One step beyond.
think the story behind this. So an instrumental cover of a 1964 Prince Buster B-side. The Chas Smith intro. Don't watch that. Watch this. Was adapted from another Prince Buster.
Yeah. So there's a lot of influences going on for this one track.
Yeah, I think what it really sums them up as a band is it says the final version was actually a rough mix that was accidentally sent for mastering after producers repeated a short instrumental segment. So it's like they sent the wrong thing off to get polished up and put on the record, and they're like, oh I guess that
sounds all right, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sets a tone for the. I mean, I can imagine that the first time somebody bought a copy of this and popped the needle in the groove, it's like, whoa, what on earth is this?
So I mean, what I've picked up, having listened to this album a number of times over the last couple of weeks, they just made an album to dance to, right? Yeah. And a little bit of moon stomping there. I'm thinking back to when I was 13, 14 years old, and if this was on at the school disco, I'd be going at it properly, right? DMs on, giving it all that. The thought of doing that now, I mean, I'm just out of breath even thinking about it.
Yeah,
it was energetic, and I'm trying to think. So I know I've been to a lot of gigs, right? But I have only seen Madness once because I was too young to go and see them really when they were around in their heyday. And then when they reformed and there was that resurgence, I went to see them. I sort of didn't want to go and see them because I didn't want them to be rubbish. But because they played in Reading at
and were they rubbish or were they?
No, they were absolutely brilliant. I'm not sure now. I've heard now they're not so brilliant because I mean Suggs is even older than us, I think.
Is there such a thing?
There is such a thing. So he's still got a good head of hair though. It's odd. So yeah, his voice isn't as good as it was. But was it ever any good? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So frontman Suggs recalled to the Daily Mirror in 2009, "We used to play the Hawaii 5-0 theme as a novelty cover version to start our shows. When we got bored, we did this track instead." And this was the one that introduced the Nutty Train dance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is obviously on the cover of the album.
It's on the cover. It's on the cover of one of the singles. There was a film out about them. There and in videos they're all doing it down the street, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's just brilliant. I mean, as a kid with my mates, we would have done that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So onto My Girl.
I'm just going to show off and show you the 7-inch single of My Girl. That.
Oh, nice. Nice, that'd be worth a fortune now, won't it?
And Chaz Smash wasn't on the cover, but there he is in cartoon form on the back.
Nice.
So
nice. Yeah. There we are. He is quite old.
He's a lot older than us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, decades older than us. Yeah, let's have a blast of this.
My girl's mad at me. I didn't want to see the film tonight. I found it hard to say. She thought I'd had enough of her. Why can't she see? She's lovely to me, but I like to stay in and watch TV on my own every now and then. My girl's
Yeah, it has, with the sort of honky-tonk piano going on in there, it has a bit of that kind of Chaz and Dave feel about it, doesn't it? That London, East End, although it's North London, that kind of slightly rough, he's a diamond geezer kind of feel.
Yeah, it's interesting you say Chaz and Dave, because Chaz Hodges, as we know, was a fantastic musician, right? He had this almost novelty act of Chaz and Dave, who I have seen live.
Nice.
In an Indian restaurant in Bracknell. That's another story for another day. Yeah, he's a fantastic musician, and that, I love that piano going through there. Mike Barson's piano going through it, but the little stabs of other keyboard as well, this is a much more sort of ska rock steady beat in terms of the stabs of the guitar and whatever. And it was really interesting because I was listening to it with Harry the other day, who's a bass player, and he said to me, "Blimey, that bass player must have got really bored with all their bass lines because the bass line is a good bass line, but it doesn't do much."
No.
It's the same thing all the way through.
But I mean, it's often you listen to bands and they've got a particularly good bass player. Joni Mitchell with Jaco Pastorius or McVie in Fleetwood Mac or whatever, and you go, oh yeah, they're really good. But actually, a particularly good bass player is Sting, because for the most part, you don't actually notice him there. He's setting the key, and obviously he's a control freak, so he wants to be doing the rhythm and key setting bit at the bottom and the vocal bit at the top. But part of what makes it good is the fact that it's just setting the scene for everything else.
Yeah. No.
Now, I mean, clearly, if I were a bass player, I might have a slightly different perspective on that. Like, oh my god! But the nice thing is, you can do it drunk as well if it's just plodding along, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about Harry is a lot of the time his bass doesn't sound like a bass anyway. He's got so many flipping effects pedals, which is what makes Skunkworm so good.
One of the many things makes them so good. Right, so Night Boat to Cairo. I think this is my favourite song on the album, actually.
I've got that as well. That's falling apart, that one, though.
Yeah, but it shows it's been well loved, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, you're never too late, sire. So, reading the notes on this, and I will read this verbatim. You've probably heard this. Chris Foreman in Uncut magazine in March 2008 referred to Clive Longer, when Clive Longer, co-producer, suggested strings on Night Boat to Cairo. I thought it was the ponziest thing I'd ever heard, but it turned out to be really good. Yeah.
There's a word that doesn't get used enough these days, isn't it? Honestly.
Absolutely.
But I heard Suggs talking about this fairly recently. Actually, he said, as a song, it doesn't really make much sense, does it? It's not a song as in the traditional verse chorus bridge.
No,
verse chorus, because it starts off with that a huge blast on the sax, and then. It goes on a bit, and then there's a few lyrics, and then it goes to nothing, but then it comes back in. It's just all wrong, song structure wise, but it's so good.
But that's part of the charm, and actually, One Step Beyond is the same. It isn't a song. It's a little musical burst with somebody shouting over the top. Yeah. It's tremendous, isn't it? That they've thrown away the rule book, and I think part of this is because they haven't been musically trained. They've just gone, okay, we'll just make a noise and it sounds all right. We'll see if anyone will pay to come and listen to it.
I mean, you said about not musically trained. There's a fantastic bit in the film Take It or Leave It that was made about them, and they started it themselves. It was like a documentary, but sort of not. It was really good. But there's a bit where Lee Thompson, the sax player, goes to have lessons. He signs up for some lessons to have with a music teacher. And he turns up with his saxophone that has been nicked, and he's had the serial number scratched off it. And the music teacher notices this and says, well, what's going on there? How come what happened with the serial number? I don't know. That's how I bought it. Well, you wouldn't have bought it like that. And basically, he doesn't run her. He doesn't add the lesson because otherwise you inside again.
Fantastic. So I'm mindful of the fact that we've got to keep up a bit of pace now, seeing as we chatted for so long at the beginning. So believe me, and this is really interesting, isn't it? So written by Mike Barson and John Hassler. The song describes the interference of friends on both sides of a budding romance who try to drive a wedge between a couple. And that's really interesting because that's the kind of thing that went on a lot at school, isn't it? If your best mate got a girlfriend, you knew that was the end of your friendship with them.
Yeah. So you did everything.
Torpedo that as quickly as possible.
I mean, this song is one of my favourites on the album, and I think it could have been another single. And I think it almost follows on from My Girl in terms of, My Girl's Mad at Me, and then you got This Is Would You Believe Me. There's nothing else going on, but it's a brilliant little song.
Yeah. It's a nice upbeat little number, isn't it?
Yeah, and it jogged along quite nicely, doesn't it, with the piano running through it and the sax running through it, and it's really good song. Yeah,
and like all of their songs, it's kind of it doesn't ask too much of you. Right. We've done albums, you and I, and everyone else. We've covered albums on the show where the first listen through, you kind of don't get it, and then you've got to listen to it again and again and again, and you repeatedly peel back layers. And it doesn't take away from the fact that this is good fun. It's shallow from that perspective.
Oh, yeah.
There are no layers in this, are there? What you see is what you get.
That's what he says on the tin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And next one, Land of Hope and Glory, written by Lee Thompson, reflects his personal experiences, as you said, serving time in Borstal. So,
and this is brilliant. And I remember as a kid listening to it, thinking it was about being in the army. But then, obviously, as you get a little bit older and listen to the lyrics a bit more, and a little bit more, thank you, Sean, a little bit more understanding about what they're talking about. Yeah, it's obviously about his time when he'd obviously been nicking saxophones.
Yeah, he's spending some time in an approved school. Harry listens to this track and he goes, I know now why there's ploddy bass on the other things, because the bass player's no bleeding good.
I mean, again, for the subject matter, it's a very cheery song about something that probably wasn't much fun.
No. I mean, it was like prison, wasn't it?
I'm
not speaking from experience, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. There's a line later on in the song which is very of its time, because It's like as the evening drags on, you can watch a little telly, and Cosset pans people with a little bit of belly. I'm talking about pans people, the dancers on top of the box. I mean, what was all that about in the 70s with pans people and Legs and Co and whatever? I mean,
it was every young boy's dream, wasn't it? It was wonderful.
In my autograph book, which is somewhere in this house that I had as a kid, I have an autograph from Babs of Pans People. Love, Babs, Pans People, kiss. It says.
Lucky you, lucky you. So the Prince.
I mean, this is the one that started it all off from. This was their one song that came out on Two Tone, because they didn't ever sign to Two Tone apart from the single, because the head of Stiff Records saw them play and wanted them to play at his birthday party, I think is the story, and he ended up signing them to Stiff Records. But this is about their influences, right? It's about Prince Buster and that Star, Rocksteady, all that sort of stuff.
Buster, he sold the heat with a rock steady beat. An earthquake is erupting, but not in Orange Street. A ghost dance is preparing. You got to help us with your feet. If you're not in a mood to dance, step back, make yourself a seat. This may not be uptown Jamaica, but we promise you a treat. I bust the body over with your bonus dance, shuffle me up my feet.
Do you know, this reminds me, dancing to this when this was in the charts. My dad, who was an architect, did a conversion for a client in North London.
Yeah.
And the clients, one of their friends or family got married, and we got invited to the wedding reception. And it was upstairs in the function room of some semi-derelict pub on the Grand Union Canal.
Fantastic.
And, yeah, and it was not. It was not, dinner at the Complete Angler. This was an entirely different kettle of fish, but nonetheless a memory.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember seeing them do this for the first time on Top of the Pops. A very, very young looking Suggs.
Yeah.
In a purple two-tone suit.
That iridescent.
Yeah,
it's green and yeah.
Yeah, I had a pair of those two-tone trousers. They were blue and gold, whichever way way. I mean, just the memory, and that was it. For me, the fashion and the music was so combined, and that's where the tribal thing comes from, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were a goth, you wore black. If you were into two-tone, you're either skinhead or you're a rude boy. I was more a rude boy because I was never allowed to have my hair cut that short. So it was always about the Harrington jackets and the the DMs and whatever, rather than the proper steel toe cap boots and all that sort of stuff.
But also at a similar time, there was leather jackets, denim jackets with embroidery on the back and long hair, wasn't there? Because proper like rock music was a big thing in the charts at this time as well.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
So last track on side one, Tarzan's Nuts.
I mean, it's another one that's just made for dancing, right? There's no depth to this at all. I don't think it's literally a track made for people to dance to.
Yeah. So you're out of breath, you turn the album over, and you're presented with, in the middle of the night,
yes,
a Cockney-style vignette about a 60-year-old newsagent named George who secretly steals women's underwear.
I mean, I remember listening to this when I first got the album, going, "What? What are they singing about? And it starts. It's so lovely because at the start of the song you got the street noises and the whistling and then nice man George. Oh, this is nice. Oh, hang on a minute.
And what is really interesting is that in those days, the kind of there was a seediness that was not hidden in the world. You know, so lots of massively inappropriate TV shows, you know, sitcoms and the Benny Hill show and stuff, which just looking back, you would go, well, I wouldn't watch it now anyway. It shouldn't have been made, but at the time, it was just, I guess in those days, the modern equivalent of old-fashioned bawdy British humour, wasn't it?
Yeah. The seaside postcards and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the seediness, you're right. You know, so if I remember quite clearly for my 14th birthday, I went up to the West End on the train. So I got on the train, half-hour journey in from where I was living. Went to the West End, all along Oxford Street, into the record shops with my mates. But we went into Soho as well. And Soho, when I was turning 14 in 1980,
was a very dodgy area.
Very different place to what it is now.
Yeah.
There was no gentrification whatsoever. It was all peep shows and sex shops and whatever. So yeah,
but it wasn't all good.
I don't know why a bunch of 14-year-old boys went there.
No, I can't imagine with a bag of pound coins.
Nice man George, shaking on the corner, not very rich, but never any poorer. Georgie, old George, a happy 63, not very tall, but healthier than me. He whistles timeless tunes as he saunters down the street. Springs in his legs and elastic in his feet, but in the middle of the night, he steals through your garden, gives you a rosary of fright. Doesn't say as soft as a breeze, with an armful of underwear on his hands and knees. Yeah, I mean it's.
I mean, the later verse where they actually use the line "get your knickers down," which to get them off the line so they're not stolen. I mean, just and Sean, the comparison to Ian Dury, especially on a song like this. There's a massive influence of Ian Dury, and before that, Kilburn and the High Roads, which was Ian Dury's band that he was in. Yeah, absolutely, and the Kinks as well. We said earlier on about the Kinks as well.
Yeah,
a lot of influence.
Yeah, so Bed and Breakfast Man, dedicated to the band's first drummer and manager, who was known for freeloading and sleeping on guitarist Chris Foreman's sofa. I mean, it's kind of, you said earlier about how they're writing stuff that was going on in North London. Just for the audience, there's no way we're going to be finishing at the top of the hour, I can imagine. So you were saying about how they're writing about what they know, and this is exactly that, isn't it? It's not just where they grew up and where they live and where they drink. It's also the experiences that they're having as a band, and my childhood and going to Borstal and all of this stuff that they went through.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love this song. I think this is a very underrated, probably unknown by a lot of people song that the band did. It is really good songwriting. This, and I think Razorblade Alley is the next one. I think two songs that were simply album tracks, but they could have been so much more.
Yeah. Actually, this is surprisingly more sophisticated than lots of the other stuff on the album, isn't it?
Yeah. When you listen to again the sax going through it, the keyboards going through it, there's a lot going on, and it's just it is a cracking song, Sean, and it's the lyrics, the way it's delivered. You can tell they obviously fed up with him, but there's a lot of love in there as well.
Yeah.
For their mate who was in the band originally. He's got songwriting credits on some of the songs earlier in the album, and he ended up being their first manager as well. So he's obviously a big part of their lives.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things about this kind of music is that, and I grew up because my dad did a lot of work in London. I grew up going into London from a very early age, and not always just to the West End, to places that were not so salubrious. And the next track, a seedy jazzy track written and sung by Lee Thompson, tells of a gritty story about urban decay. And actually, urban decay is not something you see anymore, is it?
No, definitely not so much.
Generally speaking, certainly not in London. There used to be areas of London that were rough areas of London with empty warehouses and buildings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as a kid, when I used to go on my bike with my mates, and we used to cycle up. I mean, I was out in North Kent, that southeast London area, and we used to cycle into Woolwich and get the Woolwich ferry over to Silvertown.
Yeah.
I mean, in Silvertown now, there's a whole load going on there now, but at the time, it was like you say, it was derelict warehouses and factories and places you shouldn't be exploring as a kid, but it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And in many ways, although those redundant areas, like the Docklands and places like that for many years, when London stopped being a major port, they became terribly run down and almost wastelands. No people there ever. It kind of. There was something quite nice about seeing that life cycle of those areas. Whereas now, every square metre of ground has got a building going up on it, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's still areas where the building hasn't quite got to yet. So Harry played a gig the other night in Deptford, a place called the Pie Shop Collective. And it's under the arches of the railway lines coming out of London Bridge going down to New Cross. And he said it's got boxing gyms either side of this place, and he showed me pictures, and it's like a squat inside. They've got a stage with some equipment to set up a band, and they sell pies, and that's it. It's rough and ready, but there's people going there, and there's people listening to music, and it's I'm pleased those sort of areas do still exist.
Well, yeah, I mean, you tend not to see much of them, but there's kind of quite a charming authenticity to them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Knowing that you're likely to come back to your car and find it hasn't got any wheels on it, but it's a rarity, isn't it? And many of the youth of today think, I'm walking down the street and someone's shouting on the other side of the road, or I need to be careful because I'm about to be attacked. You've got no idea. You've no idea what things used to be like.
No.
So here we go, Razor Blade Alley. It's got that old-fashioned pub feel about it, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Sawdust on the floor, smoky environment, someone banging out on the piano with a pint of beer on top of it.
And it's interesting the description you found of it focused on the urban decay, because all the descriptions I found about this song talked about it being about catching an STD by going to a,
which is another kind of urban decay, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it is the case, but the fact it's called Razor Blade Alley, maybe that's the feeling the young man got once he had this.
Yes, maybe. We can only presume, can't we? So the next track, Swan Lake. This is hilarious, isn't it?
I mean, it's brilliant, right? So what made them think, let's take the main theme from Swan Lake, the ballet, and do a ska version of it? But it's brilliant.
Yeah. So in my notes here, it says Mike Barson jokingly claimed he imagined conducting a séance where Tchaikovsky told him to cut out the middle bit because it's boring.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And in the film Dance Crazed, it was it was a film that was out, and it was an album as well about all the two-tone bands at the time all going on tour together. There's a fantastic snippet of Swan Lake with a lot of people dancing, but only shot from their feet. So there's a lot of DMs in slow motion bouncing up and down with Swan Lake by Madness as the music over the top. It's very artistic.
Yeah, it sounds it. I guess this is really good because it introduces a bit of classical music to an audience that otherwise maybe wouldn't be exposed to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have heard Swan Lake before listening to Madness do it. So yeah, I mean, it's just a bit of fun. But again, I go back to it's all for dancing. It's all for jumping up and down and having fun. Yeah, very well done.
Rocking in A flat.
I mean, it's a bit of I think it's a bit of an anomaly on the album because it's a rock and roll song, right? And surely Madness, the ska band, shouldn't be doing rock and roll songs.
Well, the notes I've got on this is a cover song by the band Bazooka Joe, whose lead singer was Mike Barson's older brother.
Oh, right, okay.
Hence the link, apparently.
Right, okay.
I mean, like with all this stuff, there's so many different facets to all these stories.
Yeah.
So this is Rocking in A flat.
I used to work nights with my dad. It was the face of my embarrassed head. Until some blokes on their bikes came through. Say, come on down the roof, up and see what's new. Well, come on. Let's have some fun tonight. Went to the dance, but they said I should. It cost $3, but it was quite good. The band were jumping in and driving around. Then 21 M's really made a sound. Well, come on. Let's have some fun tonight.
But that is, I mean, having been at, the age I was there, come on, let's have some fun tonight. I mean, that is what life was about, particularly at weekends, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you go and see a band with their 20-watt amp. I mean, that must have put out some... But I don't know. When I've been listening back, I don't dislike it, but I think I don't. It sticks out a little bit from some of the other stuff on the. But then on Absolutely, the album that followed this, there's a track called Solid Gone, which is the same. It seems completely out of place for the rest of the album. Maybe they just did that for a laugh, you know?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't imagine that So we've covered some albums where you listen to the album and you go, clearly somebody has had these different tiles and they've put them in the right order to tell a story. But this is not that album, is it? This is like, oh, need another song. All right, we'll just knock one out for you. And it's kind of, I guess that's part of its charm. And I know I said at the beginning, I hate madness. And actually, I don't. You can see I don't. It's kind of all right because it's so ingrained with the culture of my years growing up.
Yeah.
Which brings us on to Mummy's Boy. So for everyone in the audience, I apologise about this, but it is worth telling the story and highlighting a couple of things here that you simply wouldn't. This would be totally unacceptable. So this is written by Mark Bedford, the bassist. Tells the story of a 30-year-old man who still lives with his mother and is frightened stiff of being on his own. Okay, I get that.
Yep.
One of the lyrics.
All good so far.
All good so far. So one of the lyrics in this is, lived with mother for 40 years. The neighbourhood said he must be queer. And I think that as a line, although the queer word is coming back into parlance, with the LGBTQ bit, it springs from a time when gay was strange.
Yeah.
So nobody was openly gay when I was at school. I imagine that if anybody had come out as openly gay, they would have been beaten up as a result of it. I mean, it's savage and completely revolting behaviour. However, it was the norm in those days. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have been leading the charge to beat a gay person up. But it was just such a terribly different time, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that term queer would have very definitely been it would have been a nice term to chuck at someone.
No, absolutely. And I think that the next line that I'm going to pull out from this song, once went out with a London girl, dirty weekend in a hotel, broke it off when she got shirty. She was 12 and he was 30, which again, nowadays you look at that and you go, oh my God, this person is a paedophile and they need to be arrested. And actually, in those days, when I was 12, I fantasized about my maths teacher. She was absolutely gorgeous. And it seemed like it was okay, didn't it? Because this was the message that was being sent out on the TV. It was a very, very different world.
Shall we go with giving them the benefit of the doubt on the lyric in the fact of using any of the teen numbers wouldn't have scanned correctly for this song?
Yes, absolutely. She was 19 and he was 30.
Yeah, just it wouldn't have fit.
Yeah, good point. I suppose we should be thankful it was 12 then and not 7.
Yeah.
So here we go, Mummy's Boy. I mean, except for the fact that the lyrics are very out of fashion and quite unpleasant today. It's actually a really good song, isn't it? And it's
Yeah,
a good story that it tells.
Yeah, I picked up there on the line. It says, "Not normal folk just ain't like that." Now I can hear lots of my parents, my grandparents saying things. That's not normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what, these days, what is normal anyway, right? Just because it doesn't fit your perception of what normal is doesn't mean it's not normal. But it was that was a term I heard a lot growing up. Well, that's not normal. That's not right.
Yeah, and that was just the way. And I guess that the whole madness thing is trying to break that conformity. Following on, like we said, from the punk era. They were doing things in a very chaotic, different, challenging preconceptions way, and it's very, very different now, isn't it? And the youth of today, this idea that you can reflect whatever you want to reflect and be who you are is so much more liberating, isn't it?
Yes, no, definitely.
So, Madness, another cover of a Prince Buster song.
And I think where they got the name from, which is so much better than North London Invaders.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go, Madness. The more we play of this, the more you kind of, you bopping along.
It really is. I can't not move.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely stuff to dance to, isn't it? Be up on your feet.
Yeah. Giving it the Cockney walk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe up to this day that's the song that they finish their live shows with.
Is it?
Yeah.
Which brings us on to the last song of the album, Chipmunks Are Go.
You say song?
Well, yes. Let's have a burst of it before we finish up.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the chipmunks hear us roar. With the chipmunks hear us roar. Sound of chipmunks. Sound of chipmunks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a good time tonight, boys? Yes, we sure did. You think the time is right, boys? Yeah, we sure do. Sound of chipmunks. Sound of chipmunks. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chipmunks are go!
Yeah, and I guess that sums up the album and the band, doesn't it? That last song. It's just a bunch of guys being fools on stage.
Yeah, just having fun.
Yeah, and I guess that gets to the heart of it. And although, as I said, this was not music that gelled with me at all at the time. Looking back, it came in an era when it meant something to be young. The world was a wonderful place. It seemed very pure compared to how it is today. There were not so many dangers lurking, although obviously Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris were examples of things that were lurking. But you know what I mean.
Hidden in plain sight, though, right?
Yeah, and it's been a great album to listen to for the week, and very interesting doing the research on it.
Yeah, and yes, I mean, I've absolutely loved listening, and I've gone through the albums. I've gone up to Keep Moving. After that, it gets a bit, I don't know, a little bit harder to listen to, and because they're albums that I didn't listen to when they first came out. I don't know, just a little bit. There's not quite the emotional and retrospective connection that there is with an album like this.
Yeah, and I guess that yeah, it's very much of the time, and without wishing to put them down, when you were 13 and you listened to this music, you were an immature child and they were immature children. You're now a grown-up man.
Well, I'm an immature man.
Yeah. And they're still immature children.
Yeah.
And that's part of what they do. It's like when you're young and you look at people that are stand-up comics or children's TV presenters or whatever, it's like, well, I'm not going to do a career in that, because even if you might have been brilliant at it, I'm not going to do a career in that, because actually I'm going to outgrow that. And they never outgrew the joy of doing this kind of thing, being silly on stage for people.
Yeah, and I know they were silly. They earned the nickname of Nutty Boys, but I think that maybe put some people off them as well, because there is more depth in a lot of the later songs than is shown on this album. So that Nutty Boys nickname was all right for a certain period of time, I think, but yeah.
And actually, no, Our House is not their best song. Their best song is Welcome to the House of Fun.
I mean, Our House is a classic, a Stone Cold classic Madness song.
Yeah, but then so is I like driving in my car.
Yeah, it has fun. I mean, some of the later stuff. There's a what's it called? Can't remember what it's called now. There's a song off of Keep Moving, one of the later albums, which is about two homeless people that get together and there's a relationship. Can't remember what it's called now, but it's absolutely brilliant. I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, do. So, Paul, what a hoot this has been! What a hoot!
All right, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually, as we always say, it's not just about the music, is it? It's about the whole kind of experience of this stuff, and it's been great from that perspective. Next week, I'm joined by Yayan, and we're going to do a Prefab Sprout album, which will be interesting. But until then, thank you all, everybody in the audience. Make sure that you sign up for the LinkedIn group for that album. Do come back next week. And have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you.